friends, in a minute we are going to begin the service of Mrs. Beverly Glieberman. If you have any noise-making devices, cell phones or other, please turn them on the silent mode. Officiating today's service will be Rabbi David Began of the L'chaim Center.
In difficult moments like these, we turn immediately to the Psalms of King David for comfort. So I will read two Psalms. I'll read them in Hebrew and then I'll read them in English. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai mi yagur b'ahalecha, mi yishkon b'har kodshecha, holech tamim u'poel tzedek, v'dover emes bilvavo, lo ragal al lishono, lo asa l're'eu ra, v'cherpa lo nasa al krovo. Nivze be'enav nimas v'yes yirei Adonai yichabed, Nishba lahara v'lo yamir, kaspa lo nasam b'neshech, v'shochel al naki lo yitlakach. Osa ele lo yimot la'olam. Song of David. Lord, who may sojourn in your tent, who may dwell in your holy mountain? One who walks in purity, does what is righteous, and speaks the truth from the heart, who has no slander on the tongue, nor has done no harm to a fellow, nor cast disgrace toward a neighbor, in whose eyes a contemptible person is repulsive, but who honors those who are in awe of the Lord, who swears truthfully even to personal hurt, and never retracts, who does not lend money on interest, nor takes a bribe against the innocent. One who does these things shall never falter. We continue with Psalm 23. We can say it together. We'll say it in Hebrew and English. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, binos desha yarbitzeni al mei menuchos yinahaleni. Nafshi yishoviv yancheni b'maglei tzedek lema'an shemo. Gam ki elech begeit salmoves lo ira ra ki ato imadi. Shivtecha mishantecha hima yinachamuni. Taruch lefanai shulchan neged tzorai dishanta b'shem en roshi kosi rivaya. Ach tovo chesed yerdafuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'veis Adonai la'orech yamim. I believe it should be on the back here. On the front. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Who's he? Bruce? Okay. Bruce, I'm going to have you repeat after me, if you can. We're going to say the blessing that we say when we lose a departed loved one. So Bruce, you can repeat after me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Dayan Ha'emes. So we have a challenge. Everyone can sit down if they want. I think we have a little bit of a challenge today because it's Sukkot. And Sukkot is Zman Simchaseinu, it's the time of our joy. So on one hand, we're commanded to feel joyful today. And on the other hand, our emotions are not feeling the joy. And it's a challenge and it's a contradiction, and it's one of the many contradictions in Judaism that we have to deal with. So I was thinking about it, and how to deal with it. And what came to me was a comment by a great rabbi, Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, who points out that the word in Hebrew for joy, which is the word that represents what Sukkot is all about, is simcha, or sameach, which means to be joyful. And he notes that there's another word in the Hebrew language which sounds almost identical to the word sameach, and that is the word tsameach. The only difference is the first letter, and they sound almost exactly the same. The word sameach means to grow, to sprout, to develop. And Rabbi Hirsch points out that the true joy in life, the only way to truly be sameach is for a person to be tsameach, to be growing, constantly growing and developing oneself in their unique path and in their unique journey in life. So I think the best way to use this opportunity is to think about the life of Beverly and to think about what we can learn from her and how we can grow from her, because she was a person that was always growing herself. Bruce shared with me a cute anecdote last night. He said that she had a cell phone, a smartphone before he did, and she was always figuring out new things. In fact, she even made a mobile deposit on her Chase account on her phone a few weeks ago. She figured out how to do that. I don't even know how to do that. Okay, it's amazing. And she was always looking for new ways to grow, new ways to learn. It reminded me personally, on a personal level, of my own grandfather, who I had a recollection of coming and seeing him once at Gidwitz, and he was 96, and he was in the library, and he was almost blind, and he had a big magnifying glass, and he was looking at a map. And on the map, there were different rivers. I said, "Papa, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm studying where the different rivers are in Africa." You know, he was 96, but he wanted to learn, he wanted to grow, and that was the same way Beverly was. She was always interested in something new. She was always avidly reading and learning and growing and becoming a better person. And if we take some of the attributes and some of the qualities and we try to integrate them into our own lives, then we're taking her legacy and we're taking everything that she taught us, and we're going to grow through the process. So I just want to share with you some of the things that we spoke about which really stood out to me, and I marked them down because I thought they were quite beautiful. First of all, Beverly was really the matriarch of the family in the real sense of the word, where everybody came to her for advice. Everybody came to her if you had a question, if you wanted to understand something, if you wanted to know how to approach something or what to do. The first person everybody called was Beverly. She was there for everybody, always willing to teach and advise, and apparently the advice came whether one asked for it or not. But that's amazing, because sometimes, you know, we have a tendency to say, "Oh, you know what? I'm not going to get involved. I'll let them figure it out. I don't want to over micromanage somebody." But Beverly always had wisdom to share. She was a very wise woman. She was very practical. She had down-to-earth advice and common sense knowledge, and a tremendous amount of information that came from reading. And she was always willing to share and to listen. And it wasn't just to her family, but it was to her friends, her neighbors, or anybody that sought her advice. Bruce and Scott both shared with me, and Marcia, they all said that when they would ask their father for advice or had a question for their father, the first thing he would say is, "Well, what did Mom say?" Which is really amazing, and that's a special indication of her great wisdom and that quality that she had. She was also extremely hardworking. She worked her whole life. From the time she was 18 and on, she worked. She helped support her parents when she was young. She supported her husband, Sheldon, through law school. And she was very, frugal, I guess, but very conscientious with how she spent her money. Apparently, there's a legend in the family that when there was just a little bit of cookie dough left on the bowl, and where most people would at that point go ahead and just start licking it, she actually said, "Nope, there's probably enough for one more cookie. There's always enough for one more cookie." But that was something that's also very, very amazing and special about her, and how she took care of her own sister when her sister was 18 and needed someone to take care of her. She was very close with all three of her sisters, Marilyn, Sandy, and Roberta. And she, as I said, she helped support her parents and her husband throughout law school. In addition, her love and her commitment to her grandchildren was absolute. She was always there for them in every way. She was interested in what they were doing in their lives. She was involved in what they were doing in their lives, not just as a grandparent, maybe sort of typically from a general point of view, but she read every paper that they wrote in college. She knew what grades they were getting, and she was always there, intimately involved in the lives of her grandchildren. Scott said that she was very much responsible for helping to raise Sarah and Rachel with him in the years when they were younger, and she was always there, cleaning the house, doing Scott's dishes if necessary, preparing for Shabbos, and spending Shabbos with them together. Always at every event, extracurricular event, every sports game, even in as recently as last year when she was 95, she managed to come to Rachel's plays and sporting events of all the grandchildren, never missing any of them. She just wanted to be part of their lives and very committed to their lives and in the most meaningful way. And it wasn't just her children and her grandchildren, but it was her nieces and the children of her nieces. And she was just very, very involved in every way. She knew what they were doing. She knew where they were. She knew where they were going to school. And it's very, very special. Her relationship with her husband was unique in the sense that the children said that they don't ever recall hearing them fight ever, except Bruce did have one memory of one time. I wish I could say that, which is really, quite remarkable and special. They were a team. Sheldon and Beverly were a team. They took care of each other. They supported each other. They were there for each other, and they built a beautiful, beautiful home and a beautiful family and a beautiful legacy together. One of the symbols, I think, of probably the symbol, the icon perhaps, of Sukkot is the fruit called the etrog, the citron. And there are 4 species that we take on Sukkot to help celebrate and enhance the joy in Sukkot. One of them is this etrog, this fruit that looks like a lemon, basically. And the way that the Torah identifies this fruit is by calling it a pre-eitz hadar, which literally means the beautiful fruit. It doesn't say in the Torah what that fruit is. It just says the pre-eitz hadar, the beautiful fruit. And the Talmud derives from a number of different approaches that this fruit is referring to the etrog. One of the ways that the Talmud understands this is because of the word hadar, which means beautiful, also means hadar, the one that dwells on the fruit tree. And the explanation is that the etrog tree is unique. We have someone who can tell us more about this in the audience here. The etrog tree is unique because the etrog is the only tree where what happens normally at the end of the year? An apple tree. The apple rots and falls off the tree. The oranges that are left at the end of the year, they rot and they fall off. That's not what happens with an etrog. An etrog stays on the tree from year to year. So when you go to the etrog tree at any particular year, you might be looking at a fruit from this year that ripened this year, or last year, or the year before. And the symbolism of the etrog is that the beauty of Torah, the beauty of Judaism, the beauty of wisdom, the beauty of life continues generationally. And that children have a relationship with their parents and have a relationship with their grandparents. It's hadar be'ilan meshana l'shana. It's the fruit that grows and lives on the tree annually from year to year. It stays there. As I was thinking about this, I was really thinking about Beverly and how this really truly relates to her, because her children were so close to her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, all so deeply connected to her. And the legacy that she and Sheldon began has continued in the most beautiful way and developed and sprouted and become even more magnificent in the children and the grandchildren. There's something so beautiful about that. When you see grandchildren, and when I spoke to Sarah the other day, I called, she couldn't speak because she was hysterical. She was crying, and I could see in her sadness how close she was to her grandmother. And I know that all the grandchildren felt that way. So really the etrog is in many ways really the icon of Sukkot, but it's also a great memory to keep in mind, or a great vision, or a great visual to have when you think about your grandmother and who she was and what she represents to the family. So I believe that we're going to have an opportunity to hear a few words from Sarah Glieberman, who's calling in, sadly not able to be present, but her words will be heard on the speaker.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, David.
Oh, can you mute yourself? Okay. Do you hear an echo?
Nope. We hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. Okay. So I just wanted to, you have a dog in the background. I just wanted to, before I start, promise that Rabbi David and I did not compare notes. And I just want you to know that everything I say means that it's a true testament to how true everything he said is. I know I can't hear everybody, but I need you to respond. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Amish.
Amish who?
I didn't know you were a shoe. Now, here's what happened when I told that joke to Grandma Bev. Knock, knock. Amish. And she said, I said knock, knock. She said, who's there? I said Amish. And she said, Amish what? And we laughed for a long, long time after that. So Mom, Beverly, Aunt Bev, and Grandma Bev, our rock and our matriarch. It's because of you that we arrived at each annual Bernstein Glieberman family reunion, not even sure how we were all related, because the only thing that mattered was that we were family, and that we are family. Here's a short list of what Grandma Bev taught me. She taught me how to be pragmatic, a word that I only ever learned because of her. She taught me how to be frugal, a word that David mentioned. Never owe anybody any money, always pay your credit card on time, and never buy something you can't afford, and always have at least 3 months' worth of expenses saved. She taught me the importance of honoring everyone's unique identity and journey in life. Never judge. She taught me all the best qualities to seek in a partner, how to love. In her words, if you're in a relationship, it should be 55% on both sides. She taught me never to come into the house dripping wet, even if it's your own house, Kevin. She taught me the best way to stop someone from doing something you don't want them to be doing is It works every time. She taught me that it's never too late to learn something new, and it's never too late to grow. Just a few examples. She was treasurer of her condo board until just 1 year ago. She was the hippest, most with it 90-something with an iPhone and actually knew how to use it. Or how she did word puzzles every day. Just recently I was visiting her in the hospital earlier this year. She was fine. We sat and did the word scrambles in the daily newspaper, and she kicked my butt, to say the least. And that's actually one of my most cherished memories with her. Basically, Grandma Bev taught me that I got the best genes. Grandma, to have had the honor and privilege of having you in my life for 24 years is truly the greatest blessing I have been given. How lucky and blessed then are the people here in person and in spirit that got to double or even triple that time. You were there for everything, every show, recital, soccer game, concert, graduation, Shabbos dinner, or family celebration. You were there. And I know you are here with me, with all of us, no matter what.
I would let them have to do it. Yeah.
This feeling is truly a surreal moment. It's a day I have honestly been dreading my short adult life. Your strength, candor, wit, and wisdom have been the pillars of this family for almost a century. A century. It's not a simple task, but we are your legacy. And you better believe it's not something we will take lightly. You wouldn't let us anyway. You are legendary. You are magnificent. And you are loved beyond words. Or to put it simply in your own words, Grandma, how could I love you anymore?
Continue by reciting Psalm number 121. Shalom alos esoyin ayel hahari me'ayin yovo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai yosei shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot reglecha, al yanum shamrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomerecha, Adonai tzilcha, yad yaminecha. Yom HaShemesh lo yakeka, yareach b'layla. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra yishmor nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeischa v'echa me'ata v'yadolam. A song of ascents. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From where will come my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of the heaven and the earth. God will not let your foot falter. Your guardian will not slumber. Behold, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. The Lord is your protection by your right side. By day the sun will not harm you, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. The Lord will guard your life. The Lord will guard your going and coming from now and forever. Now we have an opportunity to perform a mitzvah, a very special and important mitzvah of Kfuras Yisrael, of allowing Bluma Bas Shmuel, Samuel, to have her final resting place. So anybody who wants to participate in this mitzvah, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it. There are gloves here. We're going to take the gloves and we're going to use the earth in the bucket. And anybody who wants to do that can do that. And then afterwards we'll continue. So everyone can step forward. Yep. Gloves.
And you can go on either side.
Sherry can do it. Will you let Sherry do it? Okay, we'll continue with the mourner's Kaddish. Yisgadal v'yiskadash shemei rabba v'yalma divrach yusei v'yamlich malchusei v'chayei chon v'yomei chon v'chayei dechol beis Yisrael ba'agolo v'zman kori v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabba mevarach la'lam u'lomei omayah Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yispoar v'yisramam v'yisnasei v'yishadar v'yishale v'yishalol shmei dekudesha b'richu le'elah min kol birchasa v'shirasa tushbechasa v'nechemasa da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Aseh shalom b'namav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Friends, this does conclude our service here at the cemetery. The family will be observing Shua after the Chag, details to follow. The rabbi will lead us in the traditional words of comfort. If we could have 2 rows facing towards the road, and as we escort the immediate mourners, the rabbi will lead us in the words. For those of you who have been streaming, the service is now concluded. Any information and recording the service will be available at ChicagoJewishFunerals.com. מקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שער ארץ ציון וירושלים.